Hi, welcome to GODSPLAY. This is Gavin Mills giving you some more of a very different perspective on religion, faith, and spirituality. And today I'd like to speak about the living God. Is God dead? Has he gone? Or is he still a living God? Everyone talks about a living God, especially in the Christian faith. But is God still a living God? Do we see him around? And before we go into the subject, I'd like to talk first about the name God. My belief is that name doesn't make a difference. Okay, so if it's God, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, anything you like. I don't think there's going to be a situation that there is a God. And also, I don't believe he's a male or female. I don't even believe he's in a human form. I don't believe that God was created in our image, which is the converse of we were created in his image. I believe it, as I said in my last video, that I think we were created in the image of his intellect, not his physical form, because by definition almost, God hasn't got a physical form. He's not defined by shape, size, matter, mass, density, volume, anything. And I don't think, as I say, he's male or female, but for simplicity's sake, let's just call him God, okay? So we don't get anyone all mixed up. And on that subject, which is quite important, I think, is people look at Christianity or look at Islam or look at Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever. And if they don't align themselves to that faith, to that belief, to that religion, they're called atheists, or they position themselves as atheists. Pantheists, this kind of thing. But it doesn't actually make sense. If there is a creator, a consciousness of creation, surely he wouldn't care what he's called. It wouldn't even be in the same language. I'm sure God is not running around speaking English, Italian, Spanish or something, and if someone comes and they've got the wrong language or the wrong name, he says, no, non comprendo, no, this is my name as well. No. It doesn't happen like that. I think God is way beyond the little idiosyncrasies and pettiness of humanity. But getting back to the subject today, the living God. I find it very strange that the pantheon of religion, all religions, started only 5,000 years, started about 4,700 years ago, when people became aware or conscious or started serving, worshipping, whatever you want to call it, a God. And 5,000 years, that's all. But actually, it's almost ended 2,000 years ago. Hey, the story. The book was closed. Boom, Christianity. Okay, I've got the book. Christ died. He saved for us. And I'm not being blasphemous, which we'll come to later. But then, of course, Islam 1,000 years ago, Sikhism about 500 years ago. So the time frames are very short. And then what happened then? Did God close the book? Now we're just watching history lessons from a time and a place when technology wasn't there. Our understanding of the universe, flat earth was nonsense, and at that time there wasn't. People didn't believe the size of the universe, and we've come so far technologically that, and from our mind space, that surely we should be adapting our thinking around the living God. God didn't just sort of, from 13.8 billion years ago up until 5,000 years ago, was in hibernation. Then all of a sudden, someone started listening and said, hey, that's the call, time to hit the stage, and jumped up and started doing his thing. And then when Christ came, or Islam or Sikhism or one of the new religions, I'm not talking about the break-offs, I'm not even going to go there because it's too controversial. But all of them, they didn't just turn around and say, okay, well, that's it. Nowadays, we don't have. We saw the Son of God, Christ. We saw prophets, old days, seers, sages, whatever you want to call them, depending on what part of the world you were. And then sort of disappeared, right? And now all of a sudden we've got a whole new breed of prophets. And everyone is running around doing magic tricks, bringing people to life, curing crazy diseases, extending penises. You name it. They were just doing, prophets nowadays are doing all this stuff. But is that actually qualification for God? Is that a direct line to God? Is that what God's all about? It's just worrying about raising people and doing Las Vegas stunts? I don't believe that. I believe that God continues, and He's all around us, and he manifests himself in nature, in the universe, understanding the universe, the expanding of the universe, the expanding of our intellect, the expanding of science and technology, understanding philosophy. Every act, good or bad, every word, good or bad, emanates in some way from God. And we take different perspectives of it. But every word, everything that we believe, and this is what religion believes, that everything emanates from God. But religion has taken us in a hold it. God does the good stuff. Satan, or the bad guy, does all the bad stuff. But is it bad? If you kill someone which bad, right, now you're going to go to jail or something like that. God doesn't have jails, by the way. I mean, they talk about heaven and hell, but it's not really jail, is it? And you get naughty, but those are actually infractions on society, on humanity. They're not infractions on the universe. When you decay and you become fertilized and grass grows beautifully because of your bloody darms and stuff, that is still the act of God. So in other words, from the human species, it's bad. It's left you dead. But from the universe perspective, you actually procreate life. You're actually stimulating the continuance of creation, because creation was not a magic act. God hasn't got a time constraint. He hasn't got a timeline. He doesn't obey time. So if he turns around and puts the universe and creates it in 1 billion years, or he creates it in 5 minutes, it's got no relevance. It doesn't matter. So in other words, an evolutionary process does not necessarily mean that it's not from God. That is not the same understanding. Every single thing in the process is the act of God. And I think we've got to be more aware, especially this time of Christmas and stuff like that, of the teachings and the lessons we learn from the universe and the immensity of God. So now what does that do? I mean, Christmas time to Christ. Do I say now with my big spirituality guru kind of approach that Christ wasn't the Son of God? Well, that also opens up a can of worms, isn't it? Because son is defined as the male offspring of humanity, of a male and man and woman. So all of a sudden that breaks down. So we've given a different meaning to son, and then different meaning to brothers. We've got brothers which are family. Even cultures have different connotations or understanding of brothers and sisters. Some believe that cousins are actually brothers. I mean, a lot of African cultures go that way. So for us to look at this thing and look at Christ, of course he's the Son of God. Everything, a tree is the Son of God if you really think about it, because everything emanates from the creative intellect, the intellect of the divine. And so Christ, yes, was a Son of God. I'm a son of God. You are a son of God, even if you're a daughter. We're all children of God in the broader sense, in that we were spawned by his act. So taking this thing and saying, do I believe that Christ is not a son of God? Yes, he is. Do I believe Muhammad was? Yeah, of course he was. Do I believe that Zoroaster was? Yes. Do I believe Buddha was? All of these guys. It isn't funny that all of these religions in the last 5,000 years, or the mainstream and the more fundamental religions, the more effective religions, or which had the greatest impact on humanity, had all the same messages: compassion, love, caring, tolerance, caring for your fellow man, the creation of things. But the only side where I see it wrong is man. It's like apartheid, man, humanity, they got all the good guys, and animals, no, they just the pantry. So I'm not quite sure if it's as simple as that. I don't think killing is bad for them as well. I mean, it's part of the food chain. It wouldn't have been created like that if it wasn't. But we close our minds off to religion. We put ourselves in these little boxes and we say, no, this is the only way. This is the only. We're going to go to heaven. What does that even mean? We're going to go to hell. What? So is hell going to be something that this body form turns around and doesn't dig? It's going to be fire and brimstone and bad guys and a guy with horns and a tail. But now if we decompose and we're actually little cells and little microbes, what would hell be? Because that's what we're going to be. Do we see our spirit, Casper the ghost, pulling out and going, flying around, eventually, heaven, pearly gates, off we go? I think we're going to need to think more profoundly and deeper about it, and think, not just accept, think. We have been given 2,000 years after the death of Christ. We've come so far. We can now rationalize and understand things that weren't available, they didn't know about in that stage. And surely we should adapt our thinking and our concept of the Creator in line with what the evolution of creation is, because creation was, as I say, not a one-hit wonder. It is a process, and it is evolving and continuing, and will continue forever. So, yeah, at this time, Christ and Christians, yeah, good for you. All the other, good for you guys. As long as we are taking cognizance, I don't think God actually wants to be adored. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like a king wanting to be adored by an ant. Not even, it's not by an atom on the leg of the ant. You know, the king doesn't really care. And this is it. I mean, it's compassion. There isn't. Watching creation like this hell of a Sim City coming together. But it's not that we've got to bow and be scared of him. We are doing his bidding. And no matter how we do, we're doing his bidding. If we screw the whole thing up, we're doing the bidding of God. We're doing the evolution because we are the components of God that are acting on his behalf, either for or against. But at the end of the day, it's still the planet. It's still got the same makeup. And whether we destroy it or make it grow, it doesn't matter. In 100 million years' time, no one's going to know. No one's going to think that Earth will have evolved. If humanity's still around, I don't know so much. But anyway, we will have evolved. The whole system evolves, and that is what I believe the divine creator is. It is an evolution of the universe. It's not a fixed position. Have a lucky Christmas. Any other holiday, enjoy your summer, and in the northern hemisphere, suffer your winter. But you got all white Christmas, don't you? All the trees and all the shops have got snow and cuck. But yeah, have a good one, and think deeply about that, and think of tolerance. This is what's killing our planet, isn't it? Killing humanity. We don't tolerate. We talk. We talk about religion. We talk about all this bullshit, and saving and charity. But we don't act. We give 10 rand and then we think, okay, I paid for my dues. It doesn't work like that. It's much bigger. And the meaning of love, the love for each other, love for our planet, means we nurture it and look after it, not destroy it like we're doing. So, yeah, as I say, have a lucky day.